you're a driver looking for a new trucking job, check out NCI. NCI offers the following: new Kenworth T680s, competitive wages, solo, team, and students welcome, plus a full benefit package for you and your family. Check them out today at 888-311-7076. That's 888-7076. And tell them TalkCDL sent you. Hey drivers, are you sick of watching the other drivers bypass the weigh station while you are held up going through yourself? Well, download Drivewyze today at www.drivewyze.com. That's DRIVEWYZE.com, and start bypassing the scales yourself. If you're a small carrier, an owner-operator, or even a big fleet looking for something better, check out Drivewyze today. And remember, there's no equipment, no transponders needed when you're using Drivewyze. Check them out for a free download at www.drivewyze.com. Drivers, if you're looking for a local, home, everyday driving job, apply with Carter Lumber today. They have positions for Class A and Class B local drivers. They can take experienced drivers, students, and non-CDL drivers. With over 160 locations, chances are they have a position for you. So go to carterlumber.com/TalkCDL and apply today. Again, that's carterlumber.com/TalkCDL. Thank you. Truck Parking Club is a network of instantly reservable daily and monthly truck parking locations throughout the U.S. Truck Parking Club helps connect truckers to truck parking locations throughout the U.S. via truckparkingclub.com. Our networks is made up of property owners that have locations adequate for truck parking to list on the platform. This includes trucking companies, storage companies, CDL schools, trailer leasing companies, real estate investors, truck parking operators, and more. Go to truckparkingclub.com today. Okay, so marijuana is now going to be considered a Schedule 3 drug. It was a Schedule 1 drug, but that's on what, according to the state level, or however you would word it, Ruth Ann, the federal level is not going to be a Schedule 3 for several years because the feds have not approved any trucker, whether it's Schedule 1, 2, 3, 500 or whatever. The feds are not approving truckers to smoke weed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so my entire thought there is, I know the article says they're thinking that the feds are going to approve it to be Schedule 3 in a few years, correct?
Yeah, they say it's going to be a few years, but they are projecting that it's going to end up happening.
Okay, so whether it happens or not, I don't believe once a trucking company finds out you have a marijuana medical card, I believe they will find every excuse not to hire you. I do.
I could see that. I mean, here's the thing. The reason why they feel as though marijuana, they say it helps with anxiety and pain and all that. The problem is because of the history that it has also. I don't personally think that a company like you, I don't think that they're going to accept a driver that is going to be taken. If it goes to a Schedule 3, it's going to be on the same level as Tramadol. Tramadol, drivers can't drive with either.
Okay, but the reason I'm saying this is because I've dealt with trucking companies that there's drivers that are on psychotic drugs. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they're not like I'm talking about drugs for like anxiety, drugs for depression, especially depression, bipolar, all that stuff, right? They're not a narcotic. They're not a drug that gets someone high. But when a trucking company finds out you're on some kind of depression medicine, they don't want to even think of hiring you for the simple reason, if you go off your medicine or something goofy happens and you do something really destructive with a tractor trailer, guess who holds the responsibility now? The people that said, yeah, we'll put him in an 80,000 pound truck. Well, now flash forward to, say, 3 years from now, if the feds say, okay, truckers can smoke weed with a medical card, right? Mm-hmm. Now, let's be honest. A trucking company, like you said, with the history of weed, okay, you know what it's like when you smoke weed. I've smoked weed already. I'm not going to say I've never smoked it when I was a younger guy. I was one of those guys that hated weed. To be honest with you, I was never a weed smoker because I didn't care for it. Because I go 1,000 miles an hour. Give me pot, you destroy me. I'm like, I just come to this halt, and I'm going, what the hell? But anyways, the bottom line is, okay, trucking companies know also. They are not going to, whether the feds say it's good or not, I guarantee you most trucking companies are not going to accept that. They'll find a way to not hire that driver. I wanted to bring something up, but I forgot what I was going to say. But you had mentioned before we came on here, you were saying that the fentanyl and all these other drugs that are like, because I looked up like, what is the most powerful drugs the other day, right? And like you have Oxycontin, you have Vicodin, you have morphine, but fentanyl was like, it was either fentanyl or is there some other drug they have where just enough on the tip of your finger can kill like 10 people. You know, that's how powerful this stuff is. Mm-hmm. So my question, how could it be considered a Schedule 3? How can they take fentanyl and make it a Schedule 3? Is that what you had told me?
It right now, what I could read to you, it says right now marijuana has a higher level classification than fentanyl and methamphetamine, the two drugs driving America's overdose epidemic. It just doesn't add up. So I don't know if fentanyl for sure is a Schedule 3 or not. I would assume since marijuana is a 1 and those two drugs are lower.
That's crazy.
And that's why those people, because, you know, there's those people out there that are trying to move this classification. That's why they're trying to do it, because they can't understand why it would be at that. And the main reason being is because they're saying that the medical marijuana is, quote, non-addictive. So
I agree with that.
So if a driver is on this medical marijuana, or anybody, moving it to a different classification because it's non-addictive, is what their goal is as far as the reclassifications of it. Okay. Because it doesn't get you high. It's non-addicting.
Well, you talking about marijuana?
Medical marijuana doesn't have the THC in it. That's why it's classified with the CBD.
Well, that's not true.
Supposedly.
No, medical marijuana, they say, is the best for getting high. I have friends that tell me that. And I know a lot of people that, you had talked about the medical card, right? There's a lot of people that really don't need medical marijuana, but they all got medical cards, so they all can just buy it here in Florida. Okay, everybody knows that. I know people specifically in my life that have a medical marijuana card and they smoke weed, but they don't need it. You know what I mean? But they claim they need it.
Right. They use it because they use it for anxiety and stuff.
Right.
It's not a high that you get with regular marijuana.
Yeah, it is. I promise you. That's what they're saying. Okay. Well, I've never, I mean, not to argue, I'm just telling you that everybody, you're looking at me like, yeah, well, you're arguing. But I'm just trying to tell you, there's people out there listening going, yeah, you get pretty high from medical marijuana. I'm telling you, it is not without the THC. It's just serious.
It's got a lower amount. I'm just going by what the statistics are. I don't know what the, as far as I'm not one that smoked all of it, so I don't know.
Well,
I know the differences between the two. I've tried both.
Okay. Well, listen, let's have maybe somebody that is an expert at weed write in and tell us, No, I'm serious. Listen, we get people writing in all the time. And like you said, you and I we don't smoke weed.
No, we're not.
That's something we don't do. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, okay, I would love it if somebody could, clarify to me, because I've got a lot of friends that say, medical grade marijuana is the best, and that's what they're exactly talking about.
It's smoother or something.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. So it would be nice if somebody could write in and kind of clarify to us. What do you think? Sure. Yeah?
Yeah. But while we're going through, and the one thing that I wanted to mention with this, because just in case someone's out there going, yeah, it's going to be a Schedule 3, mm-hmm. They are projecting that once it goes to that classification,
right,
all those people get easily getting the medical card. It's not going to be easy anymore.
Right.
Because they just went and made it to, when they shift the schedule of it and make it federal, they change it on the status of it's not going to be easy to get now because it's federal, not state.
Did you know that when you get a medical marijuana card, you cannot own a firearm anymore?
You can own it. You can't purchase them.
You can't purchase what?
You can't purchase a gun. So you still have your gun. You could still own your gun, but you cannot purchase another one.
I don't know. I mean, we're definitely in disagreement today with everything. So, I don't know what the rule is on that. I thought that once you apply for your medical card, and I guess you're probably right. They're not going to come and take your gun away, right?
Yeah, I know someone that had looked it up because I thought the same way you did. I thought that once you get it, because when you file for your permit, for your carry permit, mm-hmm. It says in your carry permit, do you take or do you smoke or do you do any of that stuff? And if you answer those, you're more than likely not going to get your permit because they could choose to decline your permit. But the way I understand is you cannot purchase a firearm in your name anymore. You don't have that privilege because you are then on medical marijuana. So I don't think you can have that ability, but the one that you have, the gun that you do have at that time, you can keep it supposedly.
Yeah, because you know what, you got a point, because I don't remember ever hearing that once you apply, they come and collect your gun or anything like that.
It's this.
Hello?
Mr. Austin, I see that you have a medical marijuana card.
I do.
How many firearms do you have in your home?
None.
Really? Because I see that you have, let's see.
I just like gun racks. And I collect ammo.
You made 15 purchases on 208s.
Where's Rocky? He's not in here. All right. Anyways, okay, that's cool. So, yeah, I'd be interested, though, again, if somebody could write in and tell us, is there, what is the difference between medical marijuana grade and, something coming from Mexico or Colombia,
Or grown in your backyard. I mean, Colorado, I'm sure they have, I have orchids on my lanai. They have the different values of pot on theirs.
Somebody told me that homegrown is the best these days. That's what I've been told that by people in Pennsylvania that I know that grow it. I can't tell you where they're at, though. But no, seriously, everybody says...
He's not over here, Rocky.
He's not in here. But no, that's cool. All right, so moving on, I guess. Let's roll, man. This is kind of a crazy day. So what do you want to talk about today, Ruthann? I mean, I literally have...
we were this morning, we were watching the
oversized.
Yeah.
See, I actually wanted to talk about that. Interesting, this video popped up, and there was a trucker in, I think it was Houston, actually. I think it was Texas area. And he had like this giant oversized load. Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm like, wow, look at that. That's crazy. He had to be turned around on the interstate because he couldn't get under the bridge.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I remember a couple oversized guys telling me a lot of times the escort service is responsible for that. They're the ones that are supposed to be, routing, and they're supposed to check the heights and pull the permits or whatever. So I looked it up, right? And I found this article. It's in... it's in J.J. Keller Compliance Network.
Oh, we used to like J.J. Keller. Well, yeah. we still do.
Yeah, J.J. Keller.
We used to work with them.
Yeah, but so J.J. Keller, one of their things that says, no movement may be made under any permit until the route has been surveyed to verify that the route can accommodate the vehicle and load. The department is responsible for verifying the load carrying capacity and the route. It says the permit applicant is responsible for the verifying adequate height, length, width, clearance. Applications for vehicles and loads with a height greater than 18 feet or a width greater than 22 feet must be supported by a survey letter from the hauler. So if it's higher than 18 and wider than 22, they actually have to do a survey of the route to confirm the actual that the loads can make it under the the bypasses and everything.
So I think somebody might have gotten a lot of tickets there.
Oh, there's no 100%. I remember, here, listen to this. I looked up, there's a couple permits that they have. Permit period, a 10-day period up to 12 foot wide and 13 6-foot high, up to 85 foot long. There's a 12-month, there's a 10-day up to 14 feet wide, 95 feet long. There's one that's up to 100 and a permit that gives you 10 days to get it there, 120 feet long. They've got weight permits, conditional permits. But I remember this place back home. Do you remember Schuylkill Products?
Yes.
They're on the Gordon-Uncle Trail. Well, I remember when I was a kid, and it was in the newspaper. It was a big story. You might even be able to find it. I should have looked for it. But they haul bridge beams. They make the bridge beams right there. And these things are, some of them are 100 and some feet long, maybe even longer. And I remember counting like 100 and some wheels on the one, setup that they had. Mm-hmm. But every load was supported by a state cop in the front and a state cop in the back, mm-hmm. hauling these, right? Mm-hmm. It had to be, this was an escort by state police. Nobody else could do it because of the mass weight of these things. And they got pulled over by another statey, an actual, I guess it's statey or a band of staties pulled over the staties and the load. And here, the bridge beam people had a permit, I remember specifically, for only 35,000 pounds instead of 3 million pounds or whatever it was supposed to be. It was like this mass thing. And I forget what the fine was back then. They had named what the fine was going to be, mm-hmm. but it was big.
Do you think that was a misprint, that they were missing some of the zeros from it?
No. See, what they did was they saved a lot of money by wink, getting the. That's why they got pulled over, because they discovered. I don't know if the fix was in or what, but
someone got angry in the office.
Something happened, to where somebody made them aware, and the state cops, And what's really funny is you would think that the stadies that were escorting it would have caught that. Maybe they were in on it. I don't know. All I know is they were going to save a lot of money, because a permit for 35,000 pounds versus a 1 million pound load or whatever the load was. Mm-hmm. I don't know what a bridge beam, those bridge beams weigh, but they're just enormous. Mm-hmm. In fact, they had to stop traffic to get them around the corner, in the town there. Mm-hmm. And
they usually put a big article up saying, and they'll even say from this time to this time, they're going to be moving 10, so that you would basically not even go near that area at during that time frame, and that down the highway even that there's going to be a convoy of them going down through.
Right. So bottom line was they got a big fine, and like you just asked, wonder if these guys got a big fine. I will guarantee you somebody got a big fine, because they had to turn the load around and then go against traffic, mm-hmm. to get that truck out of there. If you remember what they were doing, mm-hmm. with that load today. Yeah. So stopping traffic, spinning around, I guarantee there's absolutely no doubt in my mind somebody was waiting there with a big piece of paper and some zeros for that trucking company to pay. Now, whoever pulled the permit was responsible for that load, whether it be the escort company or the trucking company. Whoever pulled that permit was the responsible person. That's the guy in trouble.
Can you see the cop's face with his ticket book. He's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get a bonus for this one. We're gonna have a party.
Oh yeah,
The office is gonna be cool with this. We just made our quota for the year."
Well,
Sorry.
well, I mean, there's no doubt that somebody got praised and somebody got, crapped all over. There's no doubt about it, because when something like that happens, somebody's got to answer for that. That's
Oh yeah,
that's
definitely.
huge.
I mean, and here's the thing. It was in a big city that always has traffic to begin with. So going through all that, and it was in the morning, so you've got all your rush hour. So if it could have happened at the worst time in the worst area and all that, everything, there was nothing that could came out of that except for, okay, now we learned our lesson. This is not an area that we can, go under. We need to make sure that we mark it, or however, whoever was supposed to do, the person in the office that was supposed to track the route and make sure that they had no bridges or anything like that in that area. They're the ones that are going to be, seriously having to plead to keep their job.
Well, my guess is if it's not somebody super important with the company that they really need, they're probably going to be fired. That's what you call a big goose egg.
Well, as well as I do, it's the person at the bottom of the hill that ends up getting that kind of work. Think about it.
What do you mean?
Well, if someone's saying, the people higher up in the company are doing other things, so they're going to do that legwork is going to go to the gopher, the person at the bottom, the intern, or whoever you want to call it. They're going to be the ones that we need to track a load to go from here to here through, this interstate or this route to make sure that there's nothing that's going to be in its way. You get to track it up and make sure that nothing's going to bother, and then make sure we get our proper permits.
Yeah, somebody's going to get the blame. I know a trucking company right now that is they're terminating one of their officers, and they blamed it on the guy that's only been there 6 months. They said, well, this guy is the one that is really wanting him gone. And I even said to him, I said, they're not firing him too. But I said to him, you're just the fall guy. They just didn't have the nerve to say, we want you gone. So they're firing this guy and blaming the new guy so that they don't look bad. So, when you're firing somebody, they pass the buck around. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine if somebody higher up is the big screw up of this permit load, he's probably trying to pass the buck already to somebody else.
Yeah, it's going to be the lower guys.
Yeah, he's probably trying to pass the turd down the line.
Exactly. It all rolls down, right? That's kind of what I was getting to.
Terrible.
It rolls down. It's the bottom guy.
Anyways, hey, advice to people doing oversized, and they're probably going to say duh, but I would tell you double check your paperwork. I mean, this is a big goose egg. Now, if they were purposely trying to sneak, without, thinking, oh yeah, we can make it, just get the lower permit, blah, 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 or whatever the case is, right? Well, then you deserve it. You do. Anyways, let's move on. Moving on. So, I am like kind of in and out of it today. I just got one other thing I wanted to mention. I recently seen a couple conversations about hiring older truck drivers.
Older as in like
70 and older.
Uh-huh.
And to be honest with you, to me, today's 70 is like yesterday's 55, 60. People are healthier at 70 today than they were 10, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I know you can testify to that.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact, I just read an article this morning. They say at birth today, when you're born, you are expected to live 80.2 years. That is the expected age right now when somebody being born is. And it's, it is what it is. But here's the bottom line. I've been seeing a lot of people that are 69, 70, 71, 75, applying for jobs.
Yes.
As truck drivers.
Uh-huh.
And they're having a hard time. And, some of them have actually called me and talked to me about it. And I was I mentioned to him, I said to him, you know it's your age, right? And they said, yeah, I do. I do know that. And it's a shame, but my advice to an older driver right now, I would be humble, and a lot of them are. But if you are going to be if you are going to be quitting your job and you're wanting to apply with another job and you're 69, 70, I'd be very careful. And to be honest with you, what I would do is I would call and I would say, hey, and I would be right up front. So that's what a lot of drivers do. They try to sneak in the thing they know that's going to hinder them. You know what I'm saying? They'll try to sneak that in with, and they don't think companies are going to look at it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like driver, I was talking to some recruiters the other day. They said, yeah, drivers will call them up. They're SAP drivers, right? And they'll talk to them for a half hour, and then they'll just slip in. Oh yeah, you know I'm a SAP driver. Like it's nothing, right? Well, you're wasting your time. You're better off being upfront. Now, if you're going to be 69, 70 years old and you're applying for a job, my advice is call up a company and just say, I've got this amount of experience. If you're very clean, say I'm very clean, but I am going to be 70. Is that an issue? I'd rather you just be upfront with me now. And some companies are afraid to discriminate. What they'll do is they'll take the application. Oh no, just go ahead and apply, and then they'll maybe not take your call, or they'll just turn you down for anything. They'll just say, yeah, you did not qualify. And then when you ask them, well, why? Well, you can write in and ask, and that's one of their policies. A lot of these companies, and so. What I would do is I would literally call a company until I got a definite, that will not be a problem, 70 years old, 71 years old. We have no issues at all. As long as you qualify as a driver, we will definitely hire you. And even give it to me in writing or whatever the case, because I'm telling you, a lot of these guys are experiencing nightmares right now that thought they were going to. See, a lot of guys think, well, I got 35 years experience. They want me. Well, when you hit 70, I'm telling you right now, for anybody out there driving a truck that's listening to us right now, I promise you, most companies do not want you. And the reason they do not want you is because of their insurance companies. And that's really what the problem is. They're afraid of people getting older.
You know, it's
ridiculous.
It is because most of the time, like you had said, that when you're born, that they're now projecting that you're going to live to a specific time frame, and that's mainly because of the medical advances. So now, medical insurance, like people going to the doctors and getting their yearly checkup, and some of them doing it every 6 months or so, that is more common now than in the past. In the past, it's like, when was the last time you seen a doctor? I don't know, about 5 years ago. You know, dentist, that's the biggest thing now, is people don't go to the dentist probably more. You know, they go to the doctor, but dentist they usually don't go to that often. But because they're being medically taken care of themselves, they feel as though that they have the better lifespan versus back in the day when they didn't go.
And I believe when you get to be a certain age, they will only give you a 1 year physical. They won't give you a 2, just automatically.
Right.
But I was talking to a trucker the other day that's like in his late 60s. He said, I got a 2 year. And I was like, oh, cool. I heard after like, I think 60 or something like that. I don't even know. You know, some guys like 60 want to be writing and yelling at me, but I'm just saying, I hear that once you hit a certain age, automatically they don't give you 2 years because of your age. They want, and you know, I can understand that. You know, we live in Florida here, and there's been a lot of elderly people that they've taken their license because of, like, I knew a guy that was an actual Major League Baseball player that lived in our neighborhood, and he was in his 70s. If you remember, he was trying to back up in a parking lot, and he backed into a school bus. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And they took the poor guy's, because he there was no damage, but he was late for a doctor's appointment or something. So he said, listen, here's my information. I got to go. And because he left, they revoked his license medically, and they wouldn't give it back to him. So here in Florida, a lot of seniors do get their license taken away from them in Florida. And I would imagine with truckers, this is also one of the big fears why they're doing a 1-year card. What do you think?
I think that in Florida, we don't have to renew our license for every 10 years or something like that?
4 or 6. It's not 10 years.
Okay. Either way, I think that when you hit a certain age, it should be cut down.
I agree.
So, yeah, I have no problem with when you hit, 65, something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of it being every 4 years, maybe every 2. Just because in effect, you're getting older. So, of course, your vision's going to change, your hearing's going to change, your reflexes are going to change. That's natural. And I don't think someone that's, 70, 75 should have a license that's not going to expire for a while and think that they have every right then to be on the road. I know my mom says, Ruthann, when you think that I can't handle the road anymore, take my license. I'm like, you got it. Because I ain't going to be responsible for you screwing up later, And,
we're all, Lord willing, we're all going to be that senior someday if we live long enough. And the one thing that they say, it's one of the last,
independent.
It's one of the last things of independence that, they lose. And you feel for them. I mean, listen, I'm not here to say, I believe a 70-year-old trucker should be off the road, because I know some guys that are like near 80 look at your mom. She's 83, going to be 84 in October or September. And she's got her wits. She can drive. She's got her reflexes. We're not in any way thinking she's ready to lose her license just yet. But the bottom line is it really depends on each individual. Some people at 80 are in better shape than some guys that are at 65.
Right.
So, I agree that there has to come a point where they start giving you only a 1-year card. They want to start taking a better look at you every year, making sure your reflexes are there, your eyesight is there, your hearing is there, because of, you're handling 80,000 pounds going down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say, if you're 70 and you have a job right now and you like your job and you're thinking of switching, I probably wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? If you're just working because you want to stay active and you want to stay busy and it's not a big deal with money, I would just stay where I'm at. If maybe you're mad at somebody and you want to quit, I would probably rethink it, because it does get a lot tougher once you get out there in the job market and you're above 69. I know this because I know a lot of companies that literally say they say this unwritten, their magic number is 70. And I've been hearing some companies are at 68, 69. Their magic number is this, where they can't refuse an application, but they don't want to get in trouble for discrimination, but they are not going to hire certain age limits.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of sad.
It is sad.
But
it's sad because like our grandparents, you feel for people, you feel bad for people that, hey, it's come to an end, it's time to park the truck and get out and enjoy your family. And some people are like, listen, you little whippersnapper, I'm going to kick your ass. And it's embarrassing to get your ass kicked by an 80-year-old guy. So I'm not the guy telling some trucker, especially a flatbedder. You get some old flatbedder, you tell him, hey, it's time to get out of the truck. You might wring your neck. That guy, and he's used to strapping and tarping, man. He'd pick you up and throw you around like a lumber tarp, man. You'll feel pretty bad then.
Swing the chains like a whip.
Exactly, man. I'm not telling the guy, hey, it's time to hang up your trucker shoes. You what? So anyways, moving on. That's pretty much what I've got this week. Again, if you've got a little bit of information on the marijuana thing, Ruthann and I were kind of not in agreement on medical marijuana versus regular marijuana. I'd love to know what the actual, what is it, the 411, Ruthann? Is that what they say? The 411?
Yeah.
Give me the 411. So anyways, what do you got? You got the word of the day?
I do.
Burnish. Burnish.
Is it spelled B-U-R-N-I-S-H? Burnish?
Yep. Burnish.
Burnish. What does burnish mean?
Enhance or perfect something such as reputation or a skill. Polish something especially metal by rubbing.
That's a nice word.
Ricardo knew he would have to burnish his research skills to shine in his job hunt. Betty liked to burnish her collection of silver every month.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, something different.
Cool. We're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.